Hello, my name is John Brisson, investigative journalist. Welcome to the We've Read the Documents YouTube channel. Here at We've Read the Documents, we like to discuss numerous topics and have interesting guests on to discuss topics when it pertains to conspiracy, when it pertains to the structure of the world order. And one of those main topics that we cover is the Council for National Policy, which I'm going to get to. But one of the main reasons why I started this channel was that a group of friends of mine, we got together on Discord one day and we were discussing how Alex Jones always says, "We got the documents, folks. I got the documents right here." He's got this, stack of papers. He's bouncing against the table. "I got this stack of documents right here in my hands, folks, and this news to go over and everything." But most of the time, the documents that he had to prove anything, he wouldn't really show it. He shows snippets of it, and he wouldn't discuss the whole thing. He would just talk about it. He wouldn't read the documents. He would discuss the documents, and everybody does that. And it's the same with Rush Limbaugh. And with I got the documents right here, folks, in my formerly nicotine-stained hands, Rush Limbaugh used to say. So I actually wanted to start a YouTube channel where I'm showing people the documents during live streams on the screen. I could source and back up what I say, what I know. And I'm not going to always get it right. No one does. But I do my best. I do my best to bring you the source material so that you can analyze it yourself. And so one of the topics, like I mentioned earlier, that we discuss is the Council for National Policy. And one of those source materials that I have read on, I think it was, my second stream on the CMP, was from this book that was written by Russ Bellant. And it was published in the late 80s, early 90s, called The Coors Connection. So many people ask me, what is the Council for National Policy? Well, I'm going to read a little bit from Russ Bellant's book. And I would actually put it up on screen to show on a live stream, but there's no copy of his book that's digital. So, one of the several rightist groups that has long been supported by the Coors family is the Council for National Policy, the CNP. The council is a secretive group of the foremost right-wing activists and funders in the United States. Morton Blackwell of the CMP has said, "The policy of the CMP is that we do not discuss who attends the meetings or what is said. Its membership meetings and projects are all secret, even though the group enjoys a tax-exempt status. It focuses on foreign policy issues." See, most people have heard on the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission. But very few people actually know what the Council for National Policy is, or even the group that's above that, La Circle. The hidden right, as they say. You have the hidden left, which is the CFR, the Bilderberg, the Trilateral Commission, the more globalist factions of the world order. The left side of the pyramid, as you say. The right side of the pyramid, or the more fascist side, the Council for National Policy, La Circle. So you have this pyramid structure of the world order, and you have different groups that are compartmentalized within the structure, and they meet at the top. Okay. So, the Council for National Policy is very important. Woody Jenkins, who was a founder of the CMP, him of himself said that it is no secret that the Council for National Policy was modeled after the Council on Foreign Relations. Despite its wrong-headed philosophy, the CFR is the most influential single private organization in America today. Our greatest challenge is to have an even larger influence on public policy than has the Council on Foreign Relations. That's true. Woody Jenkins said this in an article that was released by the Baton Rouge State Times in 1987. So, the CMP has been involved in the Iran-Contra affair, the Franklin scandal, the NSLAW Promise software scandal, which Danny Casolaro, investigative journalist, was assassinated for trying to cover what is known as the octopus. They were also involved in 9/11. They were involved in the impeachment of Bill Clinton. Now, I'm no fan of Bill Clinton, but they didn't go after Bill Clinton. Ken Starr, Council for National Policy member, didn't go after Bill Clinton on Mena, Arkansas, which the CMP is also tied into as well. And both the right and the left, the whole pyramid, is tied into the drug trafficking that went through Mena, Arkansas. So no, he couldn't go after him on that. Instead, he had to go after Bill Clinton on lying about Monica Lewinsky. So they were, part of the impeachment of Bill Clinton. I guess almost the covering up of the impeachment of Bill Clinton in that regard. They were for the wars in the Middle East, Council for National Policy, and the CNP was behind the election of Donald John Trump, who spoke to the CNP and was vetted by them in 2016. And the reason why Mike Pence is vice president is because the Council for National Policy told Trump that he had to pick Pence to get the evangelicals behind him. So he did. Pence, they groomed. Trump, they vetted. That's the difference. And yes, Pence is worse than Trump, in my opinion. So that is, in the nutshell, the CNP, and I've done many videos covering the Council for National Policy. They do not publish their list of members, unlike the CFR, who does. That's how we knew Tulsi Gabbard was a Council on Foreign Relations member for many years. She isn't anymore, but she was. So yes, they are more secretive, and I think they have a lot of power, especially every time we have a Republican president. Ronald Wilson Reagan, who was very much tied with the CNP. I've covered him. George H.W. Bush played both sides, both the CFR and the CNP. His son, however, George W. Bush, definitely. I mean, Dick Cheney was a major Council for National Policy player and member. So George W. Bush played a little bit more ball with the CNP. He had to. He's actually vetted by them in 1999, just like Trump was. And sadly, though, I voted for Trump, and I am a conservative in a lot of my beliefs. I am Christian, so I am anti-abortion. I am pro-life. I am anti-illegal immigration. I'm pro-First Amendment. I'm pro-Second Amendment. So I, do, as far as policies, if they were genuine, would lean more towards a CNP, you would think. But they're involved with all the dirty parts of the world order structure. So I'm going to expose them on that. I'm not going to give them a pass. So when I cover the CNP, that is why. Because as a Christian conservative, the Council for National Policy, they claim that they are that. But they're not. They are part of the world order structure, and that's why I call them out. Now, if we get a Democratic president in, like let's say I would have started this channel during Obama. I guess I didn't know about the CNP in this time, but I would cover them. I'd cover the CFR more. I'd cover, what they're up to. I'd talk about the CNP when they came in the news, but that's why I am covering the Council for National Policy so much now, is because Donald John Trump is president, Mike Pence is vice president, and they are both being controlled by the Council for National Policy, both willingly and unwillingly on some things. Maybe you could say that Trump bucks a little bit sometimes. If Pence was president, we definitely would have already been, over there in Syria. I don't know. Well, but I will say again that the Council for National Policy is the part of the pyramid right now that is at least put forth to have more power. Now, I also cover many different topics when it comes to the witch hunt narrative on this channel. I talk a lot about McMartin Preschool and about the daycare scandals, abuses that occurred during the 1980s and 1990s that are termed a witch hunt. That is incorrect. At the bare minimum, in majority of these cases, children were very tragically molested. And many people that did these molestations were not held accountable, including Raymond Buckey of the McMartin Preschool trial. There is enough evidence through court documents that I've seen and read, and enough evidence in this book to show that Raymond Buckey allegedly molested, children at McMartin. The first, conviction should have been held. I do think it's a grand maximum as far as McMartin is concerned, that there were tunnels, that there was, ritual satanic abuse that was occurring, or ritual abuse that was occurring at McMartin. But I'd say at the bare minimum, Raymond Buckey molested children. Okay. It was not a witch hunt. And there are other cases that I've discussed, like West Point, for example, which Rudy Giuliani covered up as Attorney General. and they're in Glendale Monastery School, the James Howard case. My case in and of itself that's kind of around that time period is the Finders. I'm one of the lead experts in the Finders and researching them. I brought new documents forward that were provided to me. I've interviewed people. I've actually done investigative journalism when it comes to the Finders. I brought forth those interviews. I brought forth that information. I'm writing a book. So the Finders case is very important to me. It was the case, is one of the cases that I'm most knowledgeable in. Second case I'm most knowledgeable in is the Children of God. I want to do more on the Children of God. This is a very rare book by Ruth Rangren on the Children of God. It's very expensive. But yeah, I want to do more streams on that. And of course, George and I have done about a total of 8 hours on the Franklin scandal. I'm very knowledgeable about that too as well. I do also do some streams about Christianity because I am a Christian. I do some streams where I interview people. I call the show Dudes Talking. And I hope to bring, guests in the future. I may not agree with them. For example, Steve Outram. Steve Outram is a Trump supporter. I am no longer a Trump supporter. Because I know about the Council for National Policy and how I did not know that at the time when I voted for Trump, that he was part of the world order. And so, I had Steve on, and, we discussed Michael Aquino, and we discussed Trump, and sometimes from time to time I will have people on that I disagree with them on some things. I do admire Steve's work when it comes to the LARPers, that's important. It's important to have debate. It's important to discuss issues. That is one of the things that are lacking in a lot of conspiracy culture and talk today, are people, who disagree actually hashing things out in a politeful manner. We're not cussing the other person out. Holding a person's feet to the fire, as they say, is very important. Dudes Talking will be bringing researchers that I respect on, researchers that I feel have been neglected, that are telling the truth, because the truth doesn't pay. It doesn't give you a large audience. And so, so that's mainly what I cover on this channel. Council for National Policy, Law Circle research, for now. Research on the Trump administration, research on what they nicknamed the witch hunt narrative, and why the witch hunt it was not a witch hunt in many of these cases where there was, at the bare minimum, molestation and abuse of children, which is abhorrent, and at the grand maximum, ritual abuse or satanic ritual abuse. I discuss Christianity on this channel, and I interview people on Dudes Talking, and that's what this channel is about. When I do my streams, I read newspapers. I show the newspapers so you can read along with me. I show the books when I can so that you can read along with me. We read the documents. I've read the documents, and we read the documents together, because it's important. Because I can sit here and make all these claims out in the world, and I'm not going to say that sometimes I don't go, as Jimmy Jean puts it, out on Speculation Island and make speculations. I do. But I say that when I am. Mostly what I say, I can back up, I'd say about a good 90 to 95% of it, with source material. Now, there's a possibility the source material is incorrect. Everyone makes mistakes. But it's very important as a journalist that you do that you have your sources both on the record and off the record, and that you back up what you say. And many people don't do that. And that's a problem, because one of the biggest things in the alternative media sphere, what I call the truth or industrial complex, is people parrot. They don't do the research, they don't look at anything, they just parrot what someone's told them. And that causes a lot of problems. How a lot of misinformation gets it's almost like a game of telephone. And the world order doesn't do anything to stop that. They love that. And I'm not going to say that some of the information that you get in books, that you get in papers, or even some of the information or conclusions that I come to aren't going to be unintentionally spun by the world order, because that's what happens. But it's still important to read the documents. It's still important to look at them. It's still important to play people's speeches and get their own words so that you can hear them. And not just clippets. The whole speeches when you can get them. Clips. All that is important. So I hope that you understand more now why I started this channel. I want to bring the truth out to people the best that I can. and try to give them the ability to research on their own the information that I have given them, because that's important. Very few researchers really did that. Bill Cooper did, in my opinion, to some degree. Josh Reeves has done that, in my opinion, to some degree. George from CapDev.org, to some degree. All of us do it to some degree. We do what we can, but these are people, the Antidote boys, Greg McCarran and Jeremy Roth-Gushel, the Unknown Observer, Kevin, Derek Bros, which I recommend his Epstein research and his Finders research. I'm probably forgetting a few names, so I apologize. LB Bork on the beast system of the United States government. These are people that have done important research that have brought out majority people in the New Guard. Daniel Hopsicker. I don't want to forget anybody, but there are people that I term our guys, people that we can trust, and that's important. It's important that we support and share each other's research. Usually, you can tell and judge a person by the body of their work, by how much they've been marginalized, how much they've been put off to the side. And it's the exact opposite of what most people believe. Well, Alex Jones is telling the truth because he has this large audience. Your audience is very small. You're not telling the truth. It's actually more likely the inverse of that. But that's it. Hope you guys understand why I've started the channel more. What topics I've covered. Maybe explain them a little bit more of why I cover them. And God bless you. Like, share, and subscribe. This obligatory things that people say. Hit the little bell, so you get notifications of when I go live, and hopefully I can continue, bringing you the truth. We continue researching and sharing the truth together, the objective truth that was given to us by God. And I continue to interview more guests and continue to bring voices out there that maybe you have not heard that seem to be telling giving the truth. And take care. God bless.